What's going on, everybody? I got Mike Arrigo on the show tonight from Balls of Fury. We're going to talk about partnerships, high-end collections, his social media presence, and I'm going to learn how to do the. I'm going to learn the nope thing. Stick around. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining tonight. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 7 o'clock here in balmy Minnesota. It's like 80 degrees today. I'm living it up, man. Everybody said I couldn't handle this Minnesota weather. I know I'm cursing myself, but I'm going to live it up while I can. Still plenty warm enough to ship all that good stuff. So anyway, I hope that you're doing well. Some new faces in the crowd tonight. Look at this. That's Katie. She's from Minnesota. Thanks for all the support, Katie. It's good to see you here. And then thanks to some new faces as well, checking in, I'm guessing from Mike's promos. I'm glad to have you. If you decide that you like the show and you might want to hang out in the future, you can just click like and subscribe and all of that. You know the drill. If you enjoyed, I'd love to have you back. And it does make a difference if you do that. So check it out. That's the only pitch I'm going to give you about myself and my show tonight. So it's been a good week. I did a new show to me in Fargo, North Dakota this weekend. It was on Saturday, and what a cool little town, man. Actually, it's a pretty big town, I got to say. I never been to Fargo. I didn't know what to expect. The only thing I knew about Fargo was what I've seen from that movie and that TV show. So it was a very pleasant surprise. Really nice. I don't know, just a nice town. It didn't hurt that the show was really good, and I left with a bit of Fargo money in my pocket. That always gives me a better impression of the town than when I came. So big props to the Fargo Exotic Pets Expo is the name of it. Curtis Ness is the promoter on that. Curtis did a great job. And a ton of people came in, lots of people buying. It was good. Nothing's ever as good as it seems, like when some talking head on YouTube is talking about it. Like, I'm not going to Hawaii tomorrow or anything, but above average, above my average numbers, and right there in like the 2 or 3 slot of shows on my circuit, which is really saying something. I mean, that's fantastic. So especially for a one-day show, get in, get out, one night of hotel and back home, done. Thank you very much. So I recommend it if you are looking to attend or to vend. If you're anywhere near there, which I don't think many people are near there. But anyway, if you can get there, it's worth checking out. Balls and Strikes says they say a lot there, Adam. Look, when you're in Fargo, you're closer to Winnipeg than you are to, I think, any other American city of any size. Like Minneapolis is the next closest one, and that's 4 hours away. So yeah, there's a thin line between North Fargo and South Canada. It's pretty close right there. Anyhow, I did have a good time, and it was again a nice town, man. I had good dinner at a fair price, nice wine that night. It was good. I enjoyed Fargo. I'd go back and do it again. Speaking of cool towns that I had not known anything about until I started on this adventure into the Midwest, this weekend, this Sunday, I'll be at the Cold Blooded Expos in Des Moines. Sorry, I had to think about it. It's just a blur. Cold Blooded Expo in Des Moines, Iowa. Be there in Des Moines, and then I finally get a weekend off. That'll be my 6th show in 5 consecutive weekends. So I'm looking forward to doing it. It is always a solid show for me, and hopefully it'll grow a little bit for me. And hopefully I can grow and reap some benefits of continuing to do that show. I'm off for a weekend, then to Kansas City, and then there's only one more show in the year, and that is the Snake Discovery show in, I don't know if it's in Hastings or Bloomington this time, but here in the Twin Cities metro area. So that's the show lineup for the rest of the year. Speaking of show lineup, tonight we got Mike Rigo from Balls of Fury, and I think you know that because that's why you've tuned in, I'm sure. Next week, I got DJ Van Wyck from Reptiles for Centuries. If you don't know, DJ is in South Africa. I don't even know what the time difference is or how it all works. I'm assuming it's significantly different because it's nowhere near here. But I met DJ at Tinley. What an impressive breeder, businessman. I was just, it was great. We hit it off. We had a great conversation about business, international business, which is intriguing to me and new. Anyway, DJ is going to be on the show next week. Sorry, I'm looking at my card. That is, there he is right there. Reptiles for Centuries. DJ's on the show next week. Then continuing with the international flair is Antoine from DPR Cold Blood up in Montreal, Canada. Then from right here in the Twin Cities, Emily and Ed Roberts from Snake Discovery themselves. Get your seats early that night, folks. It's a little bit of a joke because it's digital, you know. Anyway, they'll be on. I'm excited for that. And then I'll finish off the month with Miggy's Morphs. So bang in November lined up. So you don't want to go anywhere. Again, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure that you keep track of what's going on. I think that's it for the announcements. Mike Rigo, you probably know him as the guy that does the Nope reels, which is great. I love it. I loved it even more after I got to meet Mike in person, and I'm like, oh, that's just a goofy persona, man. Or maybe it's really him and his goofy persona is when he's not doing that. I don't know. But we met in Daytona, got to hang out briefly. It was while I was vending, and I knew I pieced two and two together once it's weird sometimes when you first meet somebody because you got their real name, you got their face, and then you got their Instagram name and logo, and you're trying to connect all those dots and not look like a fool. And then when you're vending, you don't want to neglect other customers and that stuff. So we got to hang out for just a little bit at the table and at the booth, and we've chatted a few times since, but always really good content, always entertaining content, and really high quality snakes. Tons of followers. So I said, you gotta come on the show. And I will admit, from how busy I was this past month, like I say, this will be my 6th show in 5 weeks. I was a little bit behind, and Mike was like, well, just go this week. I was like, oh, hallelujah, man. We got a guest. It's going to happen. It always comes together, but one way or another. So credit to Mike for all of that stuff. I'm looking forward to hanging out tonight. It's going to be fun. For the first time ever, please welcome to the Proper Royal stage, Mike Rigo from Balls of Fury Ball Pythons. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Adam? Thanks for having me on the show tonight, boss.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. Thanks for being here. It gets boring when it's just me. I mean, I do the solo shows sometimes, but really at the end of the day, I'd rather hang out rather than just run my yapper for an hour and a half, you know? So thank you for being here. Like I say, thanks for the short notice, but there's always another Tuesday. We can fit in another one if we decide that that it goes well, you know?
Yeah, we can maybe do a part 2. We'll see how tonight goes, see if the audience enjoys it. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. I was reading it earlier. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm ready to get into it, man. Let's have a good time.
All right. I forgot to thank you to the audience as well. When I try and engage the camera, especially on the intro, I can't keep up with all of the comments, but I'll try and catch up with everybody. And anyhow, if you have questions for Mike, put them in there. We'll get to them eventually. And we got a full slate of stuff anyhow to talk about. So, Mike, if people don't know you, give them just a quick introduction. I don't know that we need to go all the way back to like the first time you held a garter snake in 2nd grade or whatever, but give a little introduction of yourself and what you got going on.
So for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Mike from Balls of Fury. I am the founder of Balls of Fury. I've been keeping reptiles and snakes since I was 13 years old. I took a little bit of a break when I went to college, and then I got back into it around like 2019. I'm also a chiropractor, if you guys didn't know that too. So I like cracking backs. I like helping people. And I'm just passionate about reptiles, man. I love ball pythons. They've been my favorite snake since I was 13 years old. They were actually like the first snake I ever held, anything like that, and been hooked on them ever since.
Nice, man. And do you, I mean, I assume that you do, but I don't know for sure. Do you breed? Do you breed yet? Is it something that's in the works? And then where kind of are you on that? What are some of your projects that you like focusing on?
So my first successful year breeding was last year. I had 3 clutches. I produced my first ever double recessive morph.
What'd you hit?
I hit a lavender axanthic, which was pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
lavender snow. And I'm sure the audience knows her name is Ice Spice. She's one of the most popular snakes on my page. Every time I post her, people go crazy.
I think everybody's snow is named Ice Spice.
That's her name, and we're sticking with it.
That's it right there.
And this was my second year. I had 4 clutches this year. Produced some really cool clown stuff. I hit a banana yellow belly spot nose clown. That was awesome. Produced some hypo stuff this year, which was cool. And yeah, I hatched, I think, 30 babies this year. Last year I hatched 15. So it was double this year. And it was definitely a lot more work. And
I was going to say, I remember like I went from like 2 or 3 clutches to like 7 or 8. And that kicked my butt. And then I went from like 7 or 8 to like 19 or 20. And it was like, this is a stupid amount of work, man. Like when you have a job and a life and family and you're not just, you don't have 8-9 hours a day in a basement. Like it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it is, man. It's definitely a lot more work than last year. I'll say that for sure. But I enjoy it, man. It really, to me, it's not work. I love coming in here and looking at snakes, and I just enjoy spending time in here, man. I get excited when I open the tubs and I see the snakes. It just it motivates me to keep going forward, and then just to, be consistent and make sure everything is on point.
Right. Do you find that it's a nice balance because I'm sure being a chiropractor, I'm sure you have a ton to focus on. And I know that there's like, I guess you don't call them customers. We call them patients. Yeah. I guess there's the patients to focus on, but you still got the billing. You still got all the stuff that's not, whether people think chiropractor's glamorous or not, you still got all the other stuff. You got the utilities to pay. You got employees to deal with. I can only imagine whatever, who knows, somebody calls out or there's an HR issue like that. You still got to deal with all that stuff as well. So like, is it really something that just lets you focus on that and push that other stuff out of your mind? Or how do you see that all fit together?
So thankfully for me, right now I work at an established clinic. So I don't actually own the clinic. I just work there as one of the doctors, and I pretty much just treat patients and write notes. The billing gets handled by the girls, and the big boss takes care of everything else. I'm just kind of there treating patients and just having a good time, really.
Is that like the hack? Is that like the sweet spot? Like everybody thinks they want to own everything, and then you're not dealing with the headache of, hey, where's the money? You're just doing your thing in the middle there. Is that the sweet spot?
For me at the moment, it is right now, just because I have the snake thing going on as well. If I didn't have the snake thing going on, I'd probably be more like aggressively trying to open my own practice and, going down that road. But I think it really depends on like what your personal goals are and what your career goals are. But I'm enjoying it. I've been in practice now this will be my 3rd year. So, so I'm pretty fresh still in practice, but it's been a great experience. I've definitely learned a lot, and I just enjoy helping people.
What's the to get a little bit off the topic of reptiles for a second though, what's the typical, is that the typical path? So you go to school, you get your degree, your certification, and then you join an established practice. Is it the typical goal that you do want to go try and own your own at some point? Or, I was kind of joking earlier about the benefits of the sweet spot in the middle, but it's almost like, it's like right now I'm looking at some real estate and I'm like, do I want to own and take on the taxes, the insurance? Do I want to take on the building if it cracks in half, or do I just want to rent a place? And then when I'm renting a place, I'm going, man, I could own the building for the price I'm renting it. and then at some point I'm gonna have to walk away after I put all this money into it because I don't own the place. Like, do you get are there those same pulls when in your business there?
Well, like I said, I think it just depends on your own personal goals. My brother is a chiropractor as well, and he did the total opposite route of me. He went right into doing his own practice. So, I think it just depends on, what your financial goals are as far as the career. The schooling is a lot. I went to school for 7.5 years to become a chiropractor. So it's definitely not a joke as far as the schooling goes. It's
Right.
definitely a grind. And it's worth it. I mean, if you can do it, it's worth it. You can definitely live comfortably as a chiropractor. And I'm on salary. So, like, I like knowing what I'm going to get paid, how I'm going to get paid. And I like having vacation time I can use.
Yeah.
And my real true passion has always been the reptiles, and I kind of just use chiropractic to fund that until I plan to do that full time in the future.
Oh, really? Okay. It was funny when you said that about like the salary and the time off. Like, I remember dreaming forever, like, man, I just want to own my own business. I want to be my own person. I want to have my own thing. And now there's weeks where I'm like, if I just knew how much money was coming in next month, or even with this real estate thing, like if I just knew for certain what the revenues were I was going to do, I would do it in a second. Like if I had that other paycheck, I would have already bought the building. And I'm like, there's just the different sides of the coin, So, but that's interesting. You say that in one breath, and then in the next, you say you're using that to fund till you can walk away from it and only do the reptiles thing.
Yeah, that's my goal at the end of the day. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love chiropractic. Like I said, I love helping people feel better.
Sure.
I've always been interested by the human body. I played sports growing up, so I was always into like working out, all that stuff. And I just am really into wellness and health. And yeah, I just wanted to have a good career. My parents really pushed me to do it too, and it worked out well. I'm enjoying it. It's
Good,
helped
man.
me afford all these snakes that I got right now, and I do like that flexibility with being on salary and having like knowing what's coming in at that time, and it really does help me budget when it does come to like the snake stuff and all of that other stuff that I'm involved in.
Yeah. And it even goes farther too. I mean, it's all totally what you're accustomed to. Like in the restaurants, when people would get promoted from like server or bartender to a salary position, like their first management position, they're like, I don't know what to do. The money's not coming for 2 weeks. Like they're used to having the money every day, like at the end of the shift. And I'm like, you just got to get your head around it a little bit, So it's every situation has its ins and outs and what you get used to. You used a word earlier, founder of Balls and Balls of Fury. Why do you use that term? And give us the details on that. I don't know for sure, but I think you got some partnerships and some things with some other guys going. Tell us about that. Tell us about that structure and how that works.
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier when I was kind of introducing myself, I was keeping reptiles, primarily like snakes, around the age of like 14 to 16. And I wasn't breeding or anything at that time, but I had always like aspired to do that. I was always a huge fan of Brian Barczyk. I used to watch him religiously as a teenager and as a kid. And I actually picked out the name Balls of Fury at the age of 15. I actually ripped it off a movie. But
well, I was going to say, is it from what movie was it from? Was it Blades of Fury or something? Was it one of Will
Ping
Ferrell
Pong movie? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. Is it called Balls of Fury?
Yep, it's called Balls of Fury.
Okay.
So I just thought it made sense. It's ball python. So I picked that name back in when I was 15, and when I went to college, I ended up having to rehome all my reptiles at the time because my parents didn't want the responsibility of keeping them, and I couldn't take them with me to school. So, like I said, I got out of it for about 4 years, and then when I went to chiropractic school, I kind of jumped back into it. My chiropractic school was down in Florida, and I'm sure, as you know, being from Florida, that reptiles down there is huge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Was
I
it
just got
in,
back
I'm sorry to
into it.
interrupt. Was it in Jacksonville that you went to school?
No, it was actually right outside of Daytona Beach, believe it or not. It was
Gotcha.
in the city called Port Orange is where the school is.
Yeah, and I'm very familiar. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's called Palmer College of Chiropractic. And the reason I say I'm the founder is because I got a snake again when I was back down there, just as like a pet, because me and my roommate kind of wanted a pet. And I was like, bro, let's just get a snake. They're easy to care for. You know, they're low maintenance. We don't have to worry about it while we're in class. And he was cool with it. So we got the snake, and I started diving back into like YouTube stuff and watching Brian, and stumbled into Canova's videos and Miguel's videos. And I just couldn't believe how far along all the morphs and stuff had came.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had the same. Yeah. I remember like watching or walking into a Repticon and being like, all of these are piebalds. Like I remember when piebalds were like, you could have a Lamborghini or a piebald. Like it was, I remember in like 1998 being like, oh, there's one of those and that's almost 6 figures. Okay.
Yep. I remember being like 12 years old and seeing a piebald online for the first time. And that was like my dream snake to own. And I think at the time they were selling for like 25,000.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah. So I got back into the snakes when I was down there, and I had a mutual friend with my partner, Darius. His name is Andres, and he used to come to my house all the time to just like study and hang out. And as I started watching these YouTube videos and learning more about the morphs and seeing how crazy it is and that you could actually like make some money from doing it, I started getting more snakes, and they weren't really high investment quality snakes. Kind of was just picking stuff that I liked the way it looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I got about 6 snakes, and my buddy Dre was talking to my friend now and partner now, Darius, and he was like, oh man, you got to come to Mike's house and like check out all these snakes he's got. And at the time, Darius was afraid of snakes. So he was like, all right, I'll come check it out, but I don't want to touch anything. Like I'll just come and look at them. So he came over, he started looking at them, and I could tell he was interested. And at the time I had a poster on the wall in like my living room area, and it had a whole bunch of different ball python morphs on it. And I was like, Darius, pick your favorite morph that you see on the poster. Like, which one do you like the best? And he picked out the dreamsicle, and he was like, I like this one the best. And I was like, that's crazy. That's my favorite morph right now is the dreamsicle.
Yeah.
And I was like, how much do you think that snake goes for? And he was like, I don't know, maybe like $500. And I was, this was like peak market time, like COVID time. So
yeah,
at the time, I think a regular dreamsicle was going for like $3,000.
Right. And yeah. If not even more. Yeah.
When I told him that, his jaw just hit the floor and he was instantly interested. So he started asking me more questions about the snakes, and he was like, do you think you'd ever like partner up with somebody eventually? And I was like, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I definitely want you to learn about them. I want you to do some research and then come back and talk to me and, you know, kind of have a game plan of what you're thinking. So he did all that. He, you know, started telling me all the stuff he researched, telling me the direction he wanted to go in, what morphs he liked. And we just kind of partnered up from there, and we started investing in the snakes. And we also got my buddy AJ involved, and my buddy Andres that originally introduced us involved. So it was pretty cool. And that's kind of how our team started.
Yeah.
And,
are you guys all local together now? Or are you spread out across the country a little bit?
No, so we are spread out across the country. I came back to Rhode Island. Darius is down in Jacksonville.
I think I talked to Darius before because he was trying to connect the dots for me, and I was like, I believe you, but I don't know what we're talking about. You know, like I remember at the time I was like, I'm not sure what's going on here. And but I lived in Jacksonville. Yeah, I think that me and Darius connected one time.
Yeah, I believe he was telling me that he reached out to you to try to find some feeders because he didn't know anyone in the area that was selling feeders or like that. And I think there was just some confusion because he hit you up on his private page and it linked to the Balls of Fury, and that's probably why you were confused.
Yeah, at first I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And he's like, well, I partner with Mike. You can check with him. And I'm like, I guess I believe you, but I don't even know if it's not that I don't believe you. I don't know that it makes a difference kind of thing at the moment. And I wasn't breeding my own rodents at the time anyhow. So hopefully I sent him in the right direction, but maybe I didn't, but I hope I did anyway.
Yeah, he's doing well now. I think he's got about 11 snakes with him now.
Oh, cool.
He's learned a lot. He actually produced his first clutch this year. Yeah, he's been doing great, taking amazing care of his animals. AJ is out in Alabama. He's got a couple of snakes as well. And then my friend Dre is down in South Florida, and he's got a couple of snakes as well. I've got the majority of the collection, but we kind of put our heads together. We have meetings every single week. Every Wednesday night we meet on FaceTime.
Oh, cool, man.
And we just talk about our goals. We talk about what pairings we want to do. And if Darius has something down in Florida that I want to breed one of my snakes to, I'll just send him the snake, or vice versa. And that's kind of how we work together to kind of determine what we're going to do. And we all have the same goal in common, and we're all passionate about the ball pythons.
That's cool, man. On how, and like, stop me if I get in too deep anywhere. You're like, dude, you gotta figure this stuff out on your own. But like, so do you guys buy snakes together, or do you own individual snakes and then you trade them off, or a combination of both? How does that stuff work?
Yeah, we've done a combination of both. We've invested into like our own snakes that we really like, because some of us have like different passions. Like me and Darius, we love the lavender albino. That's like our main focus.
Yep.
So that's our favorite gene. But for instance, my friend AJ, his favorite gene is VPI axanthic. So he picks up a lot of VPI axanthic stuff, where me and Darius are kind of picking up lavender albino stuff. But at the end of the day, we've split snakes. Like we've paid half and half, and we bought our own snakes. So it's kind of a combination of both. And as far as like our sales and holdbacks,
I was gonna say, what happens with the babies and then the money, man. At the end of the day, people want to know where their money's at, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Making the money is the hard part. To me, dividing it up is easy. That's the easy part. And none of us are greedy at all. Like, sure. Yeah. My focus when it comes to the ball pythons and the business, obviously I want to make money to sustain it and, be successful. But I didn't get into ball pythons to become rich. I just love ball pythons in general. And so when it comes to the money, we're all on the same page. We communicate. And at this point, really all the money we've made, we've reinvested back into the business. So none of it has really gone into our pockets yet.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that, I think everybody finds out, but I'm finding out, or have found out, and everybody finds out and sort of has to embrace that really for quite a long time, it's kind of what you have to do. And especially I feel like it's even magnified with ball pythons because they're such slow moving projects. You're not going to speed up a year. You might speed up how fast you grow a ball python, but you're not going to speed up how fast it breeds year over year. So, you might get a little bit of an early pop. Although on that topic, I've found if you take the early breeding, sometimes that year after that first breeding is kaput, and you may as well have waited the full 3 years in the first place. So that's something I'm learning right now. So yeah, and to just like you were talking about earlier, if you have the hatchlings, you got everything set, and then all of a sudden you got 12 new mouths to feed, 12 new tubs that you got to have them in, 12 new feeders you got to come up with. And as you grow and work projects, it's just this mushroom cloud. And I say this right now, check with me in a year, but I finally think like next year, I think I'll only buy one more rack, but I don't know. I'm now talking about buying a building and expanding and growing and blowing things up. So I don't know, man, but yeah, I get the money gets reinvested, part of it. Do you, and I'm sure that there's a lot of separate voices, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot to speak for the group, but do you guys see it? I know in the one breath you said that you're going to do this until you can, or you're going to do one thing until the big term goal is to make a business of it. How have you guys talked about how and when you see that happening? Because everybody does ask the question, okay, we're reinvesting, but when do I get to pay the electric bill or buy even just some food to eat? Forget all the glamour. Like, how do I just get by doing this? Do you guys talk about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. My goal is to be doing this full time in the next 5 years. And thankfully, all of the guys that I'm business partners are chiropractors too. So we all have great jobs to fall back on.
Yeah,
And, we just feel like we're set up for success the way that we're doing it. And we definitely have those conversations. We mark down everything that we get paid, all the sales we make. We
sure.
keep a tally and notes of everything. So we're pretty on top of it. And like I said, we have really good communication, and there's not a single person in our group that's greedy. Like if someone needs help, we'll help them out. Or if someone really wants to buy this snake, we'll put the funds towards that snake. So it's really a blessing that everyone is so selfish and, we work together. And I think one of the advantages also right now to being kind of separate is that it takes kind of the load off of us as far as the care requirements. Because Darius has a little bit down where he is, AJ's got some where he is, Andres has some where he is, and then I have some up here. So it's kind of split up, and it takes a little bit of the load off of us as far as like our overhead too, with feeding and all of that stuff as well. So yeah, it's been great, honestly. I couldn't have asked for better partners, and we all hold each other accountable, and it's awesome. I love it.
Something occurred to me, and I'm not asking this in a patronizing way. I wonder about like life stages. Like somebody there were a couple comments in the comments here. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anybody here. I'm just saying what they said. So Troy says, partnerships rarely work out unless it's a husband and wife team in this hobby. Darius, who I think is your partner you're referring to, I could be wrong, save your bread so it can save you. It occurred to me, like, we might be at different like life stages of life experience. And sometimes I don't mean that to mean like me or Troy know more about life. Sometimes like the excitement of like, I guess, have you gone through like where's your family at, or do you have family, or you just like you guys flying solo? Like, I don't know the way to put it. If I hadn't saved a bunch of my money for my career, I would never be doing what I'm doing right now. And then some people said, well, if you did this, Adam, when you were 22, you would have had nothing to lose. So you would have been excited to go do it. Like it's the opposite of the two sides of the coin, right? Both of them make sense. And that, I guess that's the point I was trying to get to. How do you respond, or how do you think to that conversation?
Well, I don't have any kids or a wife, so that helps. And
do you intend to, or do you know, or is that?
It's definitely not a priority of mine. I like to be alone. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to have kids one day.
Yeah.
I like kids. I love kids. Don't get me wrong, but I just, I don't know. They scare me. But yeah, that's a great question. I mean, like I said, all of us are really understanding and we communicate great.
Yeah.
And I eventually plan to move back to Florida and be where Darius and Andres are. I'm not sure if that's something AJ wants in the future too, but I definitely plan to buy some real estate in Florida so I could be with those guys down there moving forward. And then, it's a journey, man. Life will take you wherever it goes. And at the end of the day, even if something didn't work out, we'd still all be super cool friends. And I don't think there'd be any animosity among any of us.
Yeah. So I guess a couple thoughts. One being, what I really was trying to get across was we all have different priorities and different resources, and what fits for one person. Like I'm a big believer in like, I want to listen and hear everybody's input, and then I want to figure out how that works for me. Even today, I had somebody suggest a business thing to me, and I was like, that's not what It's not what I want to do. It makes sense to you. That's not what I want to do. And it didn't mean that they were wrong. And it certainly doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right, but it could mean that it was right for them and me is right for me. So that's really one point on that I think is important. And I forgot the other point when I said there were two thoughts that I had, well, anyhow, have fun along the way. And it sounds like it's a cool setup with you guys. I'm excited to see where it goes. And I think it's a cool arrangement. Like most of us, I think a lot of us sort of get into this hobby and it's almost a little bit lonely until we find this community, because we feel like my neighbors have no clue that there's 200 plus snakes down in the basement and thousands of ASFs and the wood shed out back. And like, I don't want them to have any clue. But on the other hand, like sometimes it sucks. Like I'm going to drive into my garage and put the door down like I'm doing some sort of meth deal. You know what I mean? To keep the peace. And there's nothing illegal I'm doing, and I could get in a fight with them and I could win, but that sucks too. I don't want to live life that way, you know? So it's kind of cool that you guys got everybody. I think that's real cool on that.
Yeah, the craziest part too is, all three of them knew nothing about ball pythons. They never even heard of a ball python. And I think that's the coolest part, how now they're obsessed, just as obsessed as I am with them. And that's one thing I really love is talking to people who don't know anything about reptiles, like introducing them to reptiles and getting them to actually like them or at least respect them. Because everybody that I see that asks me what I do, I tell them I breed snakes. I don't even mention being a chiropractor.
Yeah.
They're usually just like taken off guard when I say that, and they don't actually believe it until I show them like the Instagram page. And also, I don't want to tell them I'm a chiropractor, because then they'll start asking me health questions and asking me to adjust them.
Right.
So I have to leave that out.
Right. It's like the little equations in your head. You're like, do I really want to hang out for a while with this person? No, I'm a snake breeder. Do I want to hang out with this person and, maybe have a couple drinks with them? I'm a chiropractor,
Yep.
I do the same thing with hospitality consulting. I'm like, I'll tell you a story though. I was in really briefly, I was in Tractor Supply yesterday, which just opened up in my hometown. And that's where I get, basically the rodent supplies. I get everything at Tractor Supply. And I was getting the special mix that I make for the ASFs, and it's like grains and bird seed and this and that. And the girl at the counter, and I don't know why, I was in a grumpy mood for some reason, but the girl at the counter was like, wow. And it's like 200 pounds. The woman at the counter is like, what kind of birds do you feed? And I was like, I looked at her and all I said was rats. And she goes, what? I said, I'm sorry. I said, I breed reptiles for a living, and I come here to Tractor Supply, and my farm is a rodent farm. And she goes, honest to God, she goes, oh, cool. I have a ball python. That's just right there, like out of the blue, 8:15 in the morning. Like I said, I don't know what I was grumpy about. Who knows what? But, and I got talking to her, and actually one of the funniest things that she said was, oh, I didn't know there was one of you in Northfield. Like, this is a pretty small town, 20,000 people. I didn't know there was one of you in Northfield. So anyhow, for all I know, she's watching tonight. If the person from the Tractor Supply is watching, you were very kind to me, and she helped me check out of there. And it was kind of neat to be like, yeah, these snake owners are everywhere, man. This is cool.
You'd be surprised, man. I come across people that have snakes all the time. It's crazy. Even some of my patients, like that I've met, have had reptiles or ball pythons. It's crazy. Do
you keep any at the office? Like an office pet or whatever?
I don't keep any at the office, but my boss wants me to. I just don't. I don't trust the patients.
Yeah. It's a little bit harder. Like, most people don't realize, especially when they're starting out or they're just like a pet owner, they don't realize like it's really hard to keep in my opinion, I'm sure people are gonna be like, no, it's not. It's really hard to keep a really clean, pristine display, like aquarium, terrarium. That's part of why I like the tubs so much. I can keep the tubs absolutely pristine. I can clean those twice a week. man, cleaning an aquarium full of substrate or a PVC enclosure, that's a lot of work, man. And you know as well as I do, man, a ball python can destroy that in a matter of minutes if they want to. Like,
oh yeah, almost instantly after you clean them.
yeah, that's the last, and that's the last thing you want going on. You're trying to give somebody an adjustment, and the ball python's ripping one behind you. You know.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool. I mean, I've thought about like we were talking about earlier, if I were to go into like my own practice and do my own thing one day, which I wouldn't be opposed to doing that either, like part-time. Is I was actually thinking about doing like a snake massage where I put snakes on people's backs and just kind of let them crawl on people's backs and
yeah,
kind of an idea.
it's like the chiropractor version of like the goat yoga. You can go do yoga and have like little baby goats. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. My wife brought me to one of these things. It honestly was kind of weird. Like yoga's a little weird anyway, but the goats were weird. But yeah, I think you should try it, man. Like, I mean, I don't know. You probably got to get approval and all that, but I don't know. I think that would be cool, man.
Yeah, it would be cool. I definitely would be the only one in Rhode Island doing that. So I would definitely, my name would definitely get out there quick. But it was definitely a thought I had at one point. But who knows? Maybe one day it will come to fruition.
I think you should look, man. It would make some serious content, and like we got to get into that whole topic anyway. But that would be some seriously cool content, right?
Definitely.
I guess you'd have to have a willing patient. Like some of that could be like, what's the word? Like
I'm sure violation.
Well, maybe I don't even. Well, yeah, you got HIPAA anyway. But I mean, I'm thinking even just like, and I've actually never been to a chiropractor, but like, do they have to like? Sometimes do people have to like disrobe or whatever? Like, obviously professionally, but do you have to do that sometimes?
No, not so much with chiropractors. Some people will like take their shirt off, like if they really want you to get in there. But most of the people, we tell them to wear like athletic clothes, like shorts and a t-shirt, just so it's easy to do massage on them and do the adjustments. Because I definitely can't adjust a woman in a dress if she wants a lower back adjustment. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I meant it all professionally, but that's exactly what I was getting at. Like, I think like even like, every professional masseuse, they still have like the robes, and you try and you treat everything with the right care and all that. So, but yeah, HIPAA on top of that as well. So it would take some definitely willing people, Yeah. Katie says, I'm missing out on that. Yeah. I've never been to a chiropractor. I guess somehow, almost 30 years in restaurants on my feet, and I've never been to one, but, I'll just keep it going, I guess. Knock on wood there.
You guys got to try it out, even just for wellness care. Even if you don't have pain, it's really great for your nervous system and just everything. It's an awesome form of therapy.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I just never. We're all products of our environments that we come from, and growing up, I was firmly under the impression that we were dirt poor and couldn't afford anything, which in retrospect, we were just fine. I now know my father's finances just fine. But there certainly was never trips to the chiropractor. There was never, it was like one trip a year here, and this is what we do. Anyway, I just haven't, pedicures, chiropractor. I don't know. I think I've only had 2 massages in my whole life, and that was just with my wife. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, maybe I need to do a little Adam care. That's maybe that's what 2025 will be the year of, a little Adam care.
Try it out, man. Try it out.
I'll give it a shot. Okay. How about back to the reptiles? What, when you guys, or when you or the guys together, when you guys buy ball pythons, it seems like from your content, you focus on kind of, I want to differentiate between expensive and quality. There's always quality. You can have a quality normal, and you can have a low quality normal, whether it be from care, health, all that kind of stuff. But like, how do you decide what you're going to buy and what you go after? And I think most people would agree that you kind of feature anyhow on your media higher end stuff. What is the thought that goes into that? What's the business model behind that, or the hobby model? Maybe you don't care about the business end of it at all, but is that what you would think, or what do you guys look for when you're buying?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both hobby and business mind. Like I was saying, my favorite gene, at least, and Darius's favorite gene, at least, is the lavender albino. So
Mm-hmm.
most of our snakes are some sort of lavender albino combination. We've got some clown mixed in there. We basically modeled our foundation around the recessive genes, and we've been really selective about choosing what incomplete dominant genes we want to work into those projects, as well as other recessives that we want to put together, like the dream skull, stuff like that.
Right.
And from a business standpoint, I think the recessives, as most of the people in the chat and yourself probably know, hold value the best as
Sure.
far as the long term.
Yeah.
And from a hobby standpoint, I just love how the expensive ones look. I don't know what it is. They just jump off the page when I look at them. And I love being able to say, like, I love being able to open a tub and be like, yeah, there's probably only like 3 of these in the world right now.
Right.
I just think that rare factor is so important, especially for marketing yourself. And I just want to make crazy snakes, man. When I do pairings, I want to pair stuff up that's never been done before.
Nice. What, so where do you guys, do you sell any? And I know the answer is a little bit yes. Cause I obviously have a Morph Market page and I did some show prep on that. Do you guys do any vending? Do you sell outside of Morph Market? What's your focus on that?
So the majority of my sales, or our sales, have been on Morph Market.
Mm-hmm.
Also just kind of word of mouth too, just, talking with people. I've had multiple friends of mine that have just told people I have snakes and they want a snake and they end up coming to me and buying one. So
oh, cool.
Word of mouth and mainly Morph Market and Instagram. I get messages all the time from people asking what's available. So last year I sold out of everything. The only thing I held back last year, actually I held 2 snakes back last year. I held the lavender snow. She was the only one I hit out of 5 eggs. And then I held back a cinnamon pinstripe het pied female, which was my first clutch ever. So kind of just
cool.
like the nostalgic hold back there. But
yeah.
Everything else sold. This year we've sold, I believe, almost half of our production. So it's been pretty good. But Morph Market really has been the main source of sales.
Gotcha. So I do primarily, I mean, I have obviously Morph Market, but primarily I would say I do most of my sales at shows, and then building the local market has been phenomenal. And I love that the Minneapolis, Twin Cities metro area, first, it's huge, but second, it's got a pretty vibrant reptile scene. So it's one of those, you start selling a snake here and there, and suddenly those people tell somebody else, and then both of those people want to get a second one. And suddenly you got people that, you're going to see at the shows and you become friends with, and hopefully a trusted resource for them and all of that as well. But why I ask is the higher end stuff is harder to sell. It takes longer to sell. Whether it be entry level or just a tier up from the entry level, does really, really, really well for me. And it's reflective of where I'm producing and what I'm producing as I get on the way to other things. Then again, like sometimes I forget, like we could get used to things. Like when I moved to the mountains in North Carolina, I was blown away. I was like, look at these beautiful mountains. I'm gonna go hike every day. I'm gonna do this every day, do that. Like a year later, I'm like, this is just where I live. It's just the thing, it's like living on the beach, the same kind of thing, so I forget with some of the genes, and like hearing you talk about lavender, and I'm like, yeah, I've been breeding lavender for 2 years and doing cool stuff. And I forget, like, sometimes you're always like, we always look so far ahead, or at like we like to covet, right? I think, what was that from Silence of the Lambs? We covet what we don't have.
Yep.
But we forget how hard we worked and what we did to get what we have too, which is pretty cool stuff. So I was thinking all those thoughts today, because I'm working on my pairings for it's that time of year. I got to start pairing, and I'm up to like 50 plus females now that I got to have a pair and a plan for. Yeah, it's pretty fun. So it was cool to hear you talk that way, and in my mind be like, I'm doing this thing. This is what I'm doing here, man. What's your strategy when it comes to, you talked about selecting codoms and dominants to get into things like lavender. What's your strategy on lavender? Do you like to accentuate the brightness? Do you like to bring in contrast so that you got bright and dark? What's your thing on lavender? What have you really loved in that?
Oh, I love both. My favorite. Can you see me?
Yeah, that was me. I think that was me. Yeah, that was me. If that happens, just keep going, keep the show going.
No worries. I thought it was me.
No, I can't control the internet sometimes, man. Anyway.
You're good, brother. So what I was saying was,
I lost you on the genes. Yeah, there you go. Your favorite in the lab.
My favorite project right now with lavender albino is definitely the starburst stuff. If you guys don't know what a starburst is, it is the combination of the Enchi, leopard, and lavender albino. They call it a starburst. I believe Justin produced the first one, and I believe Miguel is who called it the starburst snake, and that's kind of how the name stuck. And the pinks on that snake are just incredible, man. Like, yeah. My goal is to try to make either a pink snake or like a red snake. That's really what I want to make at some point. And I've got some ideas that I think might be able to do that, but we're just going to have to see when I pair the snakes up.
Right. Have you layered anything on top of the starburst? So you're using the starburst as a base. Have you layered anything on top yet? Or what's your vision on that?
So this will be my first year actually breeding the starburst that I've been raising up. I have a confusion starburst, which is a confusion Enchi leopard lab. And then I have the Mojave starburst I was talking about, which is Mojave Enchi leopard lab. And I'll tell you what, the Bell complex genes, I know a lot of people sleep on them, but in lavender albino, they are insane.
They are insane. Last year I made my first dreamsicle. So I was building some more hets this year, and I hit some Mojave lavenders, and they're absolutely electric, and it's driving me nuts because now I got to figure out, because they're het pied too. And so Mojave and pied reduces the pattern. On a dreamsicle, I don't want a reduced pattern. I want all the pattern on the dreamsicle. So now I'm like, do I keep these and try and extend the pattern with like Enchi and, just to take my shot at that? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So actually one of the females sold this weekend, but I might keep the Mojave lavender het pied male. He's like you say, man, the Bell complex in lavender is electric, man. It really is electrifying.
The Bell complex in lavender is a must. And much like you were saying, I was going to say, you got to throw Enchi in there, man. Enchi is one of the best genes with lavender too. It just saturates the color. It brings out so much pink and orange in it. It's just incredible. I really want to make a lot of super orange dream lavender stuff. I love orange dream. Really, when we select genes that we want to put into any project, whether it's lavender, clown, whatever, it's got to be something that we really love. Like my favorite incomplete dominant gene is confusion. So I plan to work a lot of confusion stuff into all the recessive projects, whether it's pied, lavender, clown. And I'm just getting into the scrambler gene. I don't know if you guys have heard about the scrambler gene. I'll tell you what, that gene is unbelievable. I don't know if you saw the new snake that I just got recently, but it's a
super scrambler.
It's the Orange Dream Super Scrambler Dreamsicle. It's also possible Java, which is another gene out of Canada. It's like a darkening gene. And it's also possible Yellow Belly. But the color on this thing is just absurd. And the cleanness on it is insane. It's almost as clean as some Desert Ghost stuff I've seen, but in a lavender version.
Who did you pick that one up from?
Shout out to Kaylon of Isotope Exotics up in Canada. He's got some crazy stuff, man. You guys got to check him out if you haven't already.
Yeah, and you guys got to Jeremy Baud down in St. Petersburg, he's had Scrambler pop up in his collection, and I think it was traced back to some of the Canadian guys as well. But he's had some real cool stuff come up in his collection as well with it.
Yeah, it's insane. It's really insane in Pied, and I believe Marcus Jane is the founder of the Scrambler gene. And when I went to Daytona, the time I met you, I went to Chris Hernan's table, and that was the first time I saw the Scrambler in person, and I was just immediately drawn to it. And it's just, I'm really excited to work that gene into a lot of stuff, not just lavender, but other stuff too.
I tell you, any of Chris's orange stuff in lavender would be like, you could have a whole lifetime career right there just going, Chris, let me buy, 8 females and 3 males. And, I'll see you in 10 years, because I'm going to figure it out with lavender, man. That would be, his stuff is amazing.
His table blew my mind at Daytona, and the orange coloration in his snakes is absurd. I definitely got to get a snake from him one day for sure.
I agree, man. I was in just at Tinley, and it was like, oh, those are incredible pictures. And then you see him in person, and you're like, okay, that's even like anything, when you see it in person, you're like, oh, that's even better, man, even better.
The pictures don't do him justice. You got to see it up close. Like I'm telling you, it's an unreal gene. But yeah, my kind of goals as far as like any of our projects is just figuring out a way to make the pattern look different, just make them look cooler than they are now, like even cooler.
Well, and I mean it's weird because sometimes the most insightful things are the most basic, but I agree with you completely. Like, that should be what we wake up to do every day. Like, how do we make the coolest snake, not the craziest genes, not how do we out talk the next person next to us because we have this and they don't have that? How about just a cool snake on the table that you don't know anything what it is, and you just look at it and go, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen right there. Like, absolutely. That's what gets me. Like, that's what got us all started, right? Like, the first time you ever saw a pied, right? You're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, absolutely. And another gene I'm really excited about that I don't see a lot of people working with outside of like pied stuff is the Gene X. I really like a lot of the Gene X stuff I'm seeing, and I'm interested to see what it's going to do with some other stuff other than pied, like outside of pied.
That's a good point. I don't know that to be honest, I'm not very familiar with it, but I always do only see it in pied. Now that you mentioned that,
yeah, that's just kind of the way I think. I'm like, I'll see an animal I really like, and I'll do research on like the genes it has, and I'll dive down the rabbit hole to Canova's videos, watching it, him explaining, other people who are working with it, and I'll just try to learn as much as I can about the gene before I actually go and invest into it. And I think that's so important too. And obviously, you got to love what you're buying. Like, that's mainly what keeps me motivated. Like I was saying earlier in the video, like, I'm excited when I get home from work to come in here and open the tubs every day and see these amazing snakes that we have. And I think if you don't love the snakes you're looking at, it's not going to motivate you to be on top of it or stick to your game plan.
Oh, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to resent it. Just like you say, you just get that tub clean, and the next thing you know, boom, you're right back at, you're like, these snakes.
Yep.
But I know what you mean, though. It's nice. I love coming in here in the morning, and I finally have the room and the facility the way that I want it, and configured the way that I want it, and I got the white floors put in. It's just the way that I want it, and it does make me happy coming in. It brings me joy, and I'm like, this is what I asked for. This is what I wanted. This is what I set out to do. So I'm pretty pleased with it, man. I'm with you there.
And I love it. It always gives you something to look forward to. Like, I'm looking forward to the pairings from this year, and I'm already looking forward to like the pairings for the year after, and the babies and the holdbacks. So like, I think it's so rare to find something in life that gives you that constant something to look forward to all the time.
Yeah, I was telling and it gets better with time too, because I was telling somebody the other day, like, my first year that I hatched something, I was like, oh, this is killer. This is amazing. I can't wait to do something with this. I was explaining it to the guy in the bank, and I was like, yeah, now I got to twiddle my thumbs for 2-3 years while this thing grows up. But now those have grown up and those are breeding, and the ones that are right behind it. And there's always another, so that there's like the excitement of the babies that are coming. There's the excitement of the babies that are at a year, and I'm moving them out of the holdback rack. And then there's the ones that are going over here to the breeder girls rack. And now I'm doing the pairing. So now I'm dreaming about the hatchlings, which starts the cycle all over. And it feels like the first time that I have like the full excitement versus like, okay, I did this one thing. Now I got to wait. Okay, I got this one thing. Now I got to wait. Now it's just like, all right, what's exciting today? So I have that kind of personality. I need that, man. People are like, why do you, Adam, you do all this weird, different stuff? And I'm like, I know, because if I just focus on one thing, I'll go bananas. I can't do it, man.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part of all this is the waiting game. Most of it is the waiting game, depending on how you go about it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It gets better and better because
exactly.
it just like, and I know, you're not going to stop going, but keep going because it just gets better and better where like, and this weird thing has started to happen. I don't know if it got magnified when I moved to Minnesota or not, but my clutches are almost spread out throughout the year. So it's like, it's not like, boom, here's 30 within 90 days. It's like, I still got 30 eggs in the incubator, and I got a girl, she's going to lay in another 12 days and 2 more that I think still will ovulate. And I'm working on my pairings. I'm going to start the pairings right up again, so like the volume and the time, it spreads out that excitement where like now I don't feel like I'm waiting on things because there's always just something that's got my attention,
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of get to that point too now because I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't think I did. But when we first started out, every single snake we bought was bought as a baby. So now,
oh, okay,
everything at this point is almost an adult or getting ready to breed because I got most of them between like 2020 and 2022.
Right.
So a lot of them are just starting to come up to size now. Yeah. And it's getting more exciting.
How many, and I never asked this to be like, oh, that's less or more or whatever, just from a pure excitement standpoint though, how many females are you breeding this year? And are you looking forward to breeding this year?
This upcoming year, I believe we are shooting for 10 clutches.
Okay,
and
cool.
The pairing I'm most excited for is my pastel, super enchy, super asphalt, lavender albino breeding to the Confusion Starburst.
You have a super asphalt lavender?
I do.
I got to see that picture. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it. He's insane. I got him from Billy of Mutation Creation.
Right. See, I'm a gravel guy versus the asphalt, but the imagery is very, very similar, very close cousins there. So no, I haven't seen that, man. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a picture of him. He's awesome. And I haven't seen one available since I got him. And Billy almost didn't sell him to me. He was up on Morph Market for like at least 6 months, and I was just watching him for like 6 months. I'm like, I want this snake so bad. And the day I was about to inquire, he took it off of Morph Market.
And it was a male?
It's a male.
Oh, you're lucky you got it. Yeah, he probably took it off because he was going to go breed it if it had been on there for 6 months.
He wanted to hold him back. He wanted to hold him back, and then we talked a little bit, and he ended up changing his mind, and he sold him to me.
That's cool, man. That was lucky timing then for you.
Yeah, shout out to Billy. Shout out to
Billy's awesome, man. Definitely. I got to ask you about the social media. I got to ask you about the Instagram account and all that. We'll do that in just a second. I'm going to take a moment and tell everybody about our advertisers and the partners and how they help us all. Guys, check out Redline Shipping. If you haven't already, I think that you will find the customer service, the customer experience, the security of your animals, insurance, institutional knowledge of the people that work there, the staff, the team, all of that stuff are why I recommend Redline Shipping to you. You can use the promo code proper5 and get yourself $5 off of your next shipping label through Redline Shipping. Shedtesting.com. That is Charlie. If you haven't used Charlie, you owe it to yourself too. He's such a good person. Charlie is the guy that is doing the testing. He's the one that gets you the results. He gets them to you fast. He gets them to you transparently. You can talk to him ahead of time, ask him about what's going on, what you're looking for, what he recommends. Shedtesting.com is the website. If you want to see what tests are available, go check out shedtesting.com. Charlie is doing the research. He is developing his own tests, and he also works with other DNA genetic testers around the world so that they can advance as quickly as possible and bring you the widest selection as possible. Use a promo code PROPER15 and you can get 15% off of 2 orders. And in each order, you can order as many shed tests as you want. You just got to do it at one time. So as many individual shed tests as you want, you get 15% off on your order, and fast, great service, all of that kind of stuff. RGen Reptiles, that is Robbie down in Greer, South Carolina. I know right now, I believe that he still even has a visual, but on Morph Market right now, there are Zebra DG ingredients, hets, double hets, single visuals, double visuals. I believe that there's a male DG Zebra on his Morph Market right now. If that's up your alley, go check it out. And that caliber of animal, if that's up your alley, go check out RGen Reptiles. You can email them as well from the website, rgenreptiles.com. If you join his email list, you get first dibs on the animals, and he has some other perks. It's kind of like a little Patreon that you don't have to pay anything for. Just go sign up on his email account there. Portuguese pythons, Danny and Renee Rocha, they are coming to you from Chino, California. Also wonderful people to do business with. They have just been smoking it on the Ultramel projects. Dark genes with Ultramel, dark genes Ultramel with other genes like clown as well. I now have, I don't even know the numbers anymore. I used to say a 1.3. I think I have maybe a 3.4 or 3.5 of things in the Ultramel Pied project, all that I've acquired from them. And I cannot wait to put them to use this year, talking about excitement over pairings and all of that kind of thing. Their hatchlings really have just now started. So go check out their Instagram. You'll see what's coming to their Morph Market. It's not, a lot of it's not up on the Morph Market just yet, but go check out their Instagram. They're really cranking out some great reels right now, and start spying on the things that you're looking for to pick up from them. Trevor at Ball Labs, he's in Aurora, Colorado. Trevor likes working with, well, some of us like to say we stay focused. Trevor likes working with everything. Trevor's working with Puzzle, Ultramel, Clown, VPI Axanthic, Tri-Stripe, Monsoon, Zebra, and Sunset. He also likes working with genes that maybe people have forgotten about, or much like Mike was talking about, like a gene like Gene X that might not have been given a chance in a lot of other combinations. Trevor likes experimenting with those sorts of things. He's a great person. I've enjoyed doing business with him when I've been out there in Colorado and got to work in person with him. He's also one of the only licensed rodent breeders that's licensed to breed and sell rodents in Colorado. Believe it or not, you have to have a license for such things. And he has one, and he's doing things the right way. So kudos to him. Go check out Ball Labs. Last but not least is Chris Shelley at B and S Reptilia. Chris was the original sponsor of Proper Royals, and we are still here today, years later, and I'm proud of that. Chris is my vending partner at Tinley. We've also got some other business things cooking behind the scenes right now. We'll tell you all about that some other time. But Chris specializes in a variety of species, hence the name Reptilia, ball pythons, blood pythons, locality boas, colubrids, pituophis. If you know what pituophis means, Chris is your guy. I didn't know what it means and still don't totally know what it means, but bull snakes, pine snakes, go see Chris if you're into that kind of stuff. He's also the regional distributor of the chipper cocoa in Pennsylvania. So all of the sponsors' information can be found down below in the description. I hope that you'll take a look at them. Also, not an advertiser per se, but a cause close to my heart. The scholarship fund at Auburn University in the name of Dr. Tom Harbin for veterinary medicine. There's a link down there that you can contribute to the scholarship endowment in memory of and in the name of Dr. Tom Harbin. So I hope you check that out as well. Thanks for sitting through that, guys. There's 45 of y'all. If you're just joining, I got Mike Rigo from Balls of Fury on the show tonight. We've been talking about his partnerships with snakes. You have to go back if you want to pick up on that stuff. Mike, let's talk about this social media account of yours, man. You're killing it. 73,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never expected that.
So let me ask you this, though. Have you had a successful business / hobby Instagram before this, or is this basically your whole Instagram experience?
This is my first and whole Instagram experience as far as like a business hobby page.
is it like something you've studied, or is it just something you've just thrown spaghetti at the wall and look at that, man, it's worked out all right?
Um, I mean, as like my following grew, I started to focus on it a little bit more. But at the beginning, I just kind of started posting or making the page and posting because I wanted to get my name out there and get people to kind of know who I was. So at some point when I produce snakes, I hopefully have a customer base to sell to.
Ta-da! You got to say that again, everybody. If you weren't listening, build your brand while you're building your product. Like, it doesn't do you any good to have a whatever our dream is that we're going to hit a $10,000 snake, and then you just pop up one day and you're like, here, buy it from me, and they're like, oh, nope. That's what they're going to say if you don't if you don't build it. But what a great way to build it, man. You did an awesome job on it.
Thank you. Yeah, I never expected it to grow that big. I mean, it's been crazy, and I'm happy that people like the content I'm putting out there, I guess. I mean, people seem to be gravitating towards it and sharing it, and it's awesome. I'm having a great time making the content too. It's fun.
I think you I mean, every bit of this, genuinely. I think you check a couple, probably 3 distinct boxes that anybody could do pretty well if they checked one of, and those would be it's well produced and clear. Like, grainy, terrible photographs aren't going to do that well, or grainy, terrible video isn't going to do that well. Anybody can do that, especially with the quality of cameras on cell phones that we have these days. I don't know what you use. I'm not saying you use a cell phone, but anybody can. There's that piece to it. You do the education piece, which I think is really engaging, and it really plays into the algorithm because people have to sit there and read the description that you do a great job on. But it also says to the algorithm, people are engaged. So is it every Monday that you put up like a little educational piece on a combo that you love?
Yeah, pretty much. It's called Morph Monday. I wrote down that the date that I started doing Morph Monday. So my first ever Morph Monday post was June 22nd of 2020, and I've done it every Monday since that date.
Did you happen to write down how many followers you had at that time?
I actually have it in my notes out on my phone. I think at the end of 2021, we had just crossed over about 10,000 followers.
Okay. All right.
And, once we hit 10,000 the next year, we blew up to like 50,000 followers.
That's what I've heard. Like, when I say I've heard, because I haven't quite gotten there yet. Although I do have another page that we could talk about another time or later on in the show. It is reptile related, but it's not Proper Royals branded. But the Proper Royals brand is just coming up, actually just past 8,000 this week, matter of fact, which is cool. But from what I hear, the snowball, the exponential growth happens at that 10,000 mark, and like, you're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. After that first full year, we got to 10,000, and then after that, it just took off. And I think the biggest thing as far as Instagram goes, YouTube is a little bit different. YouTube's a different beast when it comes to content. And I'm still trying to kind of learn that too. But as far as Instagram goes, if you guys are not posting reels, you need to. That's the best way to grow on Instagram is the reels. And that's personally what I found as far as, from what I've seen doing it.
Yeah. So I think the last part I was going to say is, so you got the high quality, and it doesn't have to be like, high quality doesn't necessarily mean expensive. Just there's thought put into it. It's well lit. The things look good. It looks clean. And it conveys that. So it conveys that like confidence in your brand. You got the educational piece, but then you just got the fun stuff. Like, you're just having fun. Like, it's not like stuffy science, snobby, oh, I have this and you don't. It's just fun, man. It's goofy nonsense that is really like almost tongue in cheek. Like, it's a separate persona when you guys are doing your videos together. It feels like, maybe it's not, I don't know, but that's what it feels like. It feels fun, man.
Yeah, I just when it comes to kind of like our ideas, because that's another really good thing I love about having like a team, is we can kind of spitball ideas with each other, and everyone has different personalities in the group. So what I might find funny, someone in our group might not. So
Right.
having those conversations helps a lot too. And honestly, like if you get to know me more, because I'm pretty reserved as a person, unless like I really get to know you, you'll find out that I'm pretty goofy. And also to kind of backtrack on when you said, I don't know if you're using a phone. The only piece of equipment I use is a phone.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have any fancy gear. It's literally just my iPhone. And I take a lot of pride in taking clear pictures and videos. I'm OCD like that. So I'll literally sit outside holding my snake for like 30 minutes and take like 100 different pictures. And if I don't see a single one I like, I'll redo all of it again.
But I think that like, okay, so I have an expression and I used to use this when I was in leadership, like certain things in people's lives don't happen in a vacuum. So it's not like you lead a sloppy, unfocused life. And then in that moment, you're like, you know what? I'm going to take 100 pictures and they better be perfect. Like that's indicative of how a person is. And it's probably indicative of how you take care of your snakes or you run your business, that meticulous nature. And I think that it's important to convey those kinds of things, but you could do that with like the end product without going, I'm meticulous and I'm better than anybody. You know, like it's so much better when you can convey that in, maybe not that I'm, you know what I'm saying? You can convey the quality through the product. And I would say that in kitchens, I would tell people, I'm like, your station is filthy. You have to clean this. I don't want to eat food from this station. I don't care if it's technically safe. This is not going to beget anything good when it goes on the plate. And that's the same thought in reptiles, or I'm sure people's office spaces or your chiropractic. You know, you can't give a healthy back adjustment on a filthy table, right? I imagine. I can't imagine you would. You're not going to charge a lot of money to have a filthy table.
Definitely no.
No.
Yeah, and another thing, especially when it comes to like animals too, you know, there's always trolls on the internet. Not everyone's going to like you. And, you know, they're looking to nitpick any little thing that is a mistake on your video or, you know, I had somebody comment the other day about how dirty a tub was, but it was because I had a male and a female paired up and the female had scented everywhere.
Right.
And I had left a shed in there. So the male would maybe go and lock with her, which they did. But the person who was watching that didn't really quite understand why it looked like that.
Yeah.
With social media, I think one of the main things you got to do is block out any negative noise. Like if someone doesn't like you, I just accept it. You don't have to watch my videos. You don't have to do anything.
Right. There are other channels. There's other snake accounts, man.
Exactly.
There's lots of other places to go.
Exactly. So that's always in the back of my mind too when I'm doing stuff is like, okay, I got to make sure everything looks on point, everything is good, because, you know, this might come across the wrong person and ruin my reputation or my team's reputation. And I think that's important and something that you should pay attention to if you want to put yourself out there like that.
But it's a balance too, because you don't want to go crazy from every comment. Like Bonehead says, oh, it's dirty in there. And you like, so like, let's play off that specific analogy for a minute, or for a specific example. Like, did you even bother to try and educate the guy, or did you just move on? Or
back. I said the exact reason I just told you why it was dirty in a wicked polite way. And they never go back to me.
I was going to say, like, I almost always will give like one professional response that represents me and Proper Royals, and either they go away, they prove that they would actually want to be engaged and learn and not just, you know, poking at me, or they're the third that are just the jerks that want to continue poking, and then I'm done with them. And then it's like, well, okay, I've done my part, I've spoken my piece, and honestly, I leave there. Unless it's just outright hateful towards somebody other than me. Like, I don't know, sometimes people do stupid stuff and use like stupid slurs or something that don't even like I'm a straight white guy. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I have it easy in this world and you call me some other name. Like, I can't leave that up there. I can't perpetuate hate that way. But otherwise I'll leave things up because I'm like, this says more about you than it says about me. This is just me trying to engage you and be a good person to you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the craziest things that I never imagined happening is sometimes, like when I get a bad comment on my post or a video, people in the community will start fighting the battle for me. I won't even have
Yeah.
to like say anything. They'll just start ripping the person apart. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's yeah, I've experienced that a little bit, but really what I was thinking of is there was and I didn't realize this. I was a new I had moved to Alabama and I was a new young general manager and I'd taken over a store, and I just remember feeling like I was totally out of place. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know my crew. I didn't know anybody. And somebody started something, you know, drunk I had to cut off in the bar or whatever. And this guy starts to get into it with me. And man, every one of those kitchen guys came out and the problem was over like that. And I was like, I was just blown away. I was like, I mean, I almost brought, like, even thinking of it almost brings tears, because I was just like so out of place. And I felt like, man, what more can happen to me? And now this drunk, I'm going to have to, and I'm not a big guy. I don't make a business out of throwing people out of a bar, you know, like it's not what I'm built for. And anyway, when you said that, that's what that reminded me. I'm like, yeah, that is a special feeling when that happens, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not a confrontational person at all. You could ask Darius, anyone who knows me. I'm always nice to everybody, and I hate confrontation in any way. Try to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a problem, I'll confront it, but it's not that I'm looking to confront it like violently. I'm looking to, I'd rather confront a problem and put it to bed than have it simmer especially between two people that I care about, you know, myself or somebody else, kind of deal.
Yeah, that's a different story. If it's someone I don't know, I could care less.
Yeah. On we go. I agree with you. And honestly, both in life, but also in this weird world of snake media, the quicker I engage that mentality, the easier life gets, you know. Just be ourselves, operate in a good way, and try and leave whatever space we're in a little better than we found it. And most things take care of themselves if we can do that, you know. So what's your do you have a routine? Do you have a schedule? Do you have any sort of process for let's just say Instagram specifically, really, since that's what we were kind of focusing on? Do you have any sort of process or scheduling or anything like that?
Yeah, so every single day I post a reel at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and I post a picture at 5 p.m. Eastern time every single day. Now, you know, every day not something super exciting is happening, or, you know, I don't have a crazy creative idea. So a lot of times, sometimes I'll recycle old videos and I'll post an old video that did well, and maybe someone who hasn't seen it yet will stumble upon it and it might spark some interest. And another thing that I really like to focus on with social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, is I try to target people who might not know anything about snakes. Because a lot of the people on Instagram, or a lot of the breeders on Instagram, they post a lot of the same content, like just taking out a snake and showing it, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone can do that. But my thing is how can you show that snake in a more creative way that might spark someone's attention that isn't in the reptile community?
Yeah.
And that's something I really try to focus on, because I know if I post a picture of a snake or whatever, everyone that breeds them or keeps them is going to love it and is going to want to look at it. But I really want to get more people into the community and get more people interested in reptiles, whether they want to be breeders or just have them as pets. So that's definitely an audience I try to target, like with the nope reels, stuff like that, just stuff people will think is funny. And you know, like, what is this crazy guy doing with all these snakes? Like, I got to check this out.
No, it's gold, man. And did I see also, I think I saw that you like repurpose some of the same videos. Like you'll put a different caption on it and reuse it that way again too. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in a really creative, useful, practical way.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do that, or sometimes I'll even take like two different videos and I'll make a video into one with them and find a way to make it like make sense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Yeah, you just got to kind of sit down and think sometimes when it comes to it. And I draw a lot of my ideas from like the music and the audios on Instagram as well. So if you guys are scrolling through Instagram and you want to, boost your following, pay attention to the audios on the videos, because a lot of those ideas I've gotten just from hearing like that Nope song. Like I was like, all right, I hear this Nope song. How can I come up with an idea that will make this funny, where I can use this song in a way where it would relate to people?
Yeah. I I think it's brilliant, and I really do. And I think anybody, I genuinely believe the conversation we've had in the past 20 minutes, somebody starting out or even not starting out, if somebody was like, I feel like I'm just like slinging stuff around on Instagram, like post twice a day, force yourself to do a reel and a picture, find ways to be entertaining, quality post and educational. Just do that. Like, you don't even have to have any of the nifty hacks of follow this many people and unfollow here and look at this trend and that. Just be you and do those things in your own voice. I always say that, man, it's YouTube's job or Instagram's job to find your tribe for you. The more successful they are at that, the more successful you'll be. And in turn, the more successful you're going to make Instagram and YouTube. So everybody has an incentive here to win if you just do it and participate, is what I think anyway.
Yeah. And also too, just because I post every day doesn't mean you have to. I just like that because that's how I am. Like I'm a hustler like that. Like I like doing it. And if consistency for someone is posting maybe twice a week, that's fine. As long as you're posting twice a week and you're giving us quality content or giving your audience quality content, I think that's fine. And I think you'll grow that way too. You got to find your own happy medium, kind of.
Yeah, I do think you have to find what you can keep up with and what you want to do. I hear a lot of times, like, if you start one way and you change, the algorithm will punish you. I haven't really found that to be the case. I'm sure somebody has, and then I can only give my experience. But what I will say with social media and Instagram in particular is the old, I think there's an expression, I think it actually comes from recovery, but where people use the expression, it works if you work it. Like, if you're active, it's going to work. If you only sometimes do it, well, you might only get sometimes results. And I even wrestle with it because, like, when I have a lot of shows that I'm doing, I advertise that I'm doing my shows. I take pictures from the shows. I take snakes pictures under the lights at the shows. And big surprise, I end up selling a ton of snakes on Instagram and Morph Market way away from the shows, just because I'm working it a little bit harder. And I have to remind myself that, like, when I don't have shows, like, hey, get off your butt, Adam. It still works. You don't have to be at a show to have your same lights that you own and you could take the pictures, And like you say, it's a cell phone. It's no equipment. It's just the stuff that we have.
Absolutely.
So I do believe anybody can have that. And I think you've nailed it, man. And the results show. I mean, I wasn't making it up. It's what, 73,000, I think, is, like, yesterday was the number.
Yeah, I believe it's almost at 73.5 or something.
There you go.
Like that. My goal, or our goal for this year, was to hit 75,000. So we're almost there. And I think we started the year at 52,000. So it grew a lot again. And
you're gonna hit more than that, man. You're gonna be closer to 80, I bet.
Next year, the goal is to go over 100K. That's nice. The goal next year for sure. And set small goals too, as far as social media goes. Like, set a goal, whether it's, okay, I'm going to start a page by the end of this year. I want to hit 1,000 followers. Set that goal, crush it, and then set a new one. And I found that if you set small goals and you work towards those small goals and accomplish the small goals one after the other, you'll eventually get to your big goal. And I'm just the type of person who's never satisfied. Like, I think it's a problem I have, I need to work on, but I don't know. I just always think there's more that I can do,
I do know. I empathize with that. And I wrestle with that. I mean, I legitimately struggle between work and family time because I go, well, there's more I could do. I could it's right there in front of me. I just got to go get it. It's sitting right there. I can go do it. We could do a whole show on that. We'll save that therapy session for another episode. I will ask you this though, and you don't even have to go deep into it. It might be a quick one word answer, but have you worked on, I guess 2 levels, one, monetizing your channel within Instagram, and then any opportunities to monetize it outside of it, because that's a massive platform, man. That's powerful. That's a powerful audience you've amassed.
Yeah, so outside of Instagram, I haven't done any monetization, but within the actual app, we are monetized.
Yeah.
So we do make money off the reels primarily, and I believe they just started doing it for pictures too. So it's pretty cool. I mean, just getting paid to post a video I think, is pretty ideal.
It's pretty, yeah, it doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah,
and
and just this year too, we started getting monetized on YouTube as well. So I've been trying to grind more on YouTube. And if you guys aren't subscribed to our channel, go check it out. Same username as Instagram. But like I was saying, YouTube's a little bit different animal. I'm trying to get better at the longer content, because the short content I've got down pat, but the longer form content is where I'm kind of struggling a little bit. So I'm trying to work towards getting better at that.
It's a beast, man. In my experience, and this is sort of a downer thing, so take it with a grain of salt, but I worked incredibly hard to start with on YouTube. Matter of fact, I wasn't even on Instagram for the longest time. And then I don't know why, but something changed. But what I found was, once I discovered Instagram and how much reach I had on Instagram for like a fraction of the work that it takes on YouTube, man, that's why I only do these. I say only, I will do a regular traditional YouTube video from time to time, but I think this year I've done maybe like 6 in 10 months. Like, it's so much work relative to what I can bang out on Instagram and the reach and the engagement I get on Instagram. Now, that being said, I'm very proud of this show. I love doing this show. I love doing the Thursday morning show, and I won't stop. They're incredibly valuable, both for my mental state and the community and the brand and the financials. So it all works for me, but the return on investment as far as reach and just like getting content out there, man, Instagram is so much more bang for your buck, I think, than in general than YouTube. I know there's exceptions, but in general, that's the way I felt about it.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And also with social media too, it's made to be social. And I've met so many cool people on Instagram and YouTube. And I mean, look at all the sponsors you have up on the top of the screen of all the cool people you've met. And that's led to, like, with my following, it's opened the doors for me to get sponsorships too, and promote other people, which is awesome. And, if you're on social media, be social. And I actually got to give you a shout out, and another person who was in the chat. His name is Ben Green, and his name on Instagram is Ben Snakerack. And he actually reached out to you, and you mentioned to him that I was in Rhode Island. And
I was going to ask if
getting my rodents from him. So, like, if we were never on social media, I wouldn't have met him and had an awesome rodent supply. And if you guys aren't following Ben, go follow him.
I am a believer that no matter how big the platform, that I always have to respect private conversations. I would not have remembered Ben's name, but I remember the conversation very clearly. And I remember thinking to myself, like, who do I know in Rhode Island, or who can I put this guy in touch with? And like I said, I'm not going to say any more about the private conversation, but that's what I remember thinking. And I was like, man, Mike is a good dude. And I was like, you know what? Just message Mike, just see what happens. He was a good dude. He was down to earth. I remember meeting him in Daytona, and he was genuine. You know, when you look in somebody's eyes and you know they're genuine, I was like, he's a genuine guy, and he's got nice stuff, and he's doing it the right way. Get in touch with Mike. And man, that's so cool that came up, and it's going to be a great place to end the show. I saw Ben's comment earlier in the audience, but you're right. That's the exact example of community and connecting people. And obviously we never spoke about that. That stuck in both of our minds. And that's been That's been some time now too. That
Yeah.
wasn't like last week or anything.
No, it's been at least a year or 6 months ago that this happened, and I built a great relationship with him. I've done collabs with him on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
And it's just been awesome. And that's another great thing about social media. You'll meet people you never would have thought you would meet in your life, and that's one of the best things about social media.
Man, I totally agree. This has been cool. I promised you we keep it around 90 minutes, and I also promised you if we were still ripping it this time, it means we got to do it again sometime. So let's leave it there, Mike. But I hope you'll come back in 6 months or a year, and we'll talk about your next batch of things you got going on. We'll talk about the 100,000 followers that you have by then. I really appreciate you, man. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed having you tonight, man.
Yeah, I had a great time. I appreciate you having me on the show. It was great chatting with you. I appreciate everybody in the live chat that came to watch. Shout out to all you guys. I recognized a lot of names in the chat, so I appreciate all the support. You guys are the best. Shout out to Darius and all of my partners too for pulling up. And thank you, Adam.
Oh, my pleasure, man. It's I echo everything you just said. The audience, otherwise, without the audience, it's just us yapping together. We could do that on a phone call. So, I mean, I appreciate the audience. I appreciate everybody. Mike, where can people find you? Instagram, YouTube, where else?
I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Morph Market, TikTok, and yeah, those are all the places you can find me.
And where's the next show you're going to?
I'm debating. I love going to Daytona because that's like a second home for me. But I definitely want to make it to Tinley. I've never been to Tinley, and that's the goal for this next year is to go to Tinley.
Okay. Well, I hope I see you there. If you go all the way to the back, go all the way left, and there I am. The farthest back left corner you can find is where Proper Royals and Chris at B and S Reptilia will be. But Mike, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you again in person, and the next time we'll hang out a little bit longer and we'll make a little time. But thank you very much. Thanks to your guys and your partners. We got to maybe we'll do an episode all together one time or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I
don't know. I get a word in edgewise, but I'll learn something for sure.
It'll be awesome. I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. Guys, go follow Mike at Balls of Fury. If you're in the upper Midwest this weekend, I'll be in Des Moines, Iowa on Sunday. And otherwise, Thursday morning with Proper Cup of Joe. And next week is DJ Van Wyck from Reptiles for Centuries. Same place, same time. Mike, thanks so much, brother.
Real quick before we go too, I just wanted to make an announcement too. This Thursday, if you guys haven't seen already in the chat, we are doing a Halloween snake raffle where you could win some snakes. So if you guys want details on that, hit me up on Instagram and I will send you the details. We are drawing it this Thursday. So if you want in, let me know. That's it right there. All right, Mike, thanks so much. Guys, go check out Balls of Fury. See you next time. Bye. Later. Thank you.